About 900 million people around the world practice the Hindu religious tradition. Hinduism is really made up of a number of different traditions, and it includes a wide variety of practices and beliefs.
Hindus can be found in many parts of the world. More than 80% of the people living in India are Hindu. Hindus also live in the surrounding countries of Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Nepal. Immigrants from these countries have brought Hinduism all over the world. Hinduism is one of the world's oldest religious traditions. More than 4,000 years ago, there was a great civilization living in the Indus River Valley. Exactly who these people were and many of the details about how they lived are still something of a mystery. But we know they built great cities with brick houses, paved streets, even a city sewer system. Historians also believe that this valley began to draw settlers from other lands, and that eventually the civilization of the great cities broke into fragments. Out of this ancient mix of different people and cultures came a collection of religious beliefs. The people worshipped spiritual forces they believed were in control of what they saw in nature, things like fire and rain, life and death. Those ancient religious beliefs developed into the tradition now known as Hinduism. And the tradition of Hinduism has been interwoven with the social and political life of the people throughout the history of this region. Ancient Hindu teachings divided people into 4 classes or varnas, a social hierarchy that evolved into the modern social structure known as the caste system. A Hindu will usually marry a person from the same caste or jati, a group that tends to have a common occupational background, language, diet, and religious belief system. Many modern Hindus criticize the caste system, yet it remains influential in India today.
Many people interpret the Hindu teachings differently and believe they must improve their present life as well as work toward a better future. But the influence of the ancient Varnas still plays a major role in the social interactions of many Hindus. One of the earliest of the Hindu teachings says that there are many paths to reach the truth, or God. Hindus don't believe in God as a single being, but more like a supreme essence, and they believe that there is more than one way to believe in God. Despite this diversity of thought, there are a few core beliefs that almost all Hindus hold in common. A few of the most important are the belief that God can be thought of in many different ways, and the belief in a cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. Understanding these beliefs is a good starting place for understanding Hinduism.
Many Hindus believe that everything is part of a divine unity or God called Brahman. It's very hard to understand something as vast as Brahman. That is why Hindus think of Brahman in many different forms so they can recognize and worship aspects of God. Vishnu sustains and preserves all that is in the universe. Shiva has the power to destroy and recreate the universe. Brahman is also worshipped in many other forms as the gods and goddesses or deities who bring good luck, who control the weather, who give inspiration to artists and musicians.
In most temples, there's Ganesha, and I like him a lot because he's the destroyer of obstacles. And like when you're really sad, you can pray to Ganesha because sadness is also an obstacle.
To Hindus, all rivers are sacred. Water means life, renewal, and hope. The most sacred of rivers is the Ganges. Hindus believe its water can wash away illness and sin, so they make pilgrimages to bathe in the Ganges. And when Hindus die, their families prefer to scatter their ashes in the Ganges. But for Hindus, death is not an end or a beginning. It's part of a great cycle.
My name is Pavitra. Hindus believe the soul is eternal and everlasting. The human body is like a piece of clothing the soul discards when a person dies. That's how some teachers think our Hindu ancestors recognized samsara, the cycle of life, death, and rebirth that we're all a part of. Rebirth in a new and different body is reincarnation. All the things we do during a lifetime add something to the soul that will be reborn. And that something our soul carries is karma. Karma is the effect of all our thoughts and actions, good and bad.
So, with Hinduism, we're talking about a tradition that has worshipped many different forms of Brahman, going back many thousands of years. You'd expect to find some remarkable places of worship in a tradition that old, with that many faces. And you'd be right.
Before going inside the temple, Hindus take off their shoes and wash their feet. Many temples have faucets or bathing tanks for Hindus to clean and purify themselves before they pray. As soon as they are inside, Hindus ring a bell to announce their presence. Hindus visit the temple or mandir throughout the day to pray, sing, make offerings, and listen to teachings. Temples are considered sacred. Towers are built above the shrines for protection. These towers are meant to remind Hindus of mountains and symbolize hope and ambition. Temples are not the only places Hindus worship. Most Hindus, like Vinayak and his family, have a shrine in their home.
This is our family shrine where we worship several deities. We purify ourselves and ring a bell before prayers. This is where we perform puja, pray, and recite from Hindu sacred writings.
We've been saying how for all their many differences, most people who practice Hinduism share some common beliefs and practices. The same thing is true for Hinduism's sacred writings.
For thousands of years, the sacred writings have been recited and written down in Sanskrit, one of the oldest known written languages. Parvati, Pallavi, and Pavitra learn ancient Hindu stories and lessons through traditional dance.
It's a way to connect with our culture even though we're so far away from it. And sometimes at the end of class, the teachers kind of sit you down and they kind of explain, each hand movement and why it's significant to the story. There are two great epics in the Hindu tradition. The Mahabharata is one of the longest poems in the world. There is another great epic, the Ramayana. It is about Rama, who was the best of all kings, and about Sita, the example for all women, who becomes Rama's queen. That's a story that's being told in words, retold in pictures, movies, and dances. Rama loves and marries Sita, but she's kidnapped by a demon. Rama searches the world for her, with many battles and many adventures. And all the while, Sita must resist the demon king and remain true to who she really is, even when she has no hope of ever escaping from him. But she never surrenders, and Rama never gives up. Finally, he kills the demon king and is reunited with Sita. Rama and Sita both teach us to be brave, not to quit when things are very difficult. They just keep fighting to do the right things, and those are some very good lessons to pass along.
Along with its rituals, the Hindu tradition is rich in festivals and holy days. But with so many different Hindu beliefs, it's not surprising that there are lots of different holidays.
One of the most widely celebrated holidays is also one of the most joyous. Shamala and her family celebrate Diwali.
Diwali is a festival of lights that lasts for several days. This is a Hindu celebration of our new year in October or November. During Diwali, we get up before sunrise, bathe, and dress in brand new clothes. People light small lamps and leave them on their windowsills. They string millions of lights through the city and float candles down the rivers.
Another holiday celebrated by almost all the different branches of the Hindu tradition is Holi, the return of spring. Hindus remember the early life of Krishna, avatar of Vishnu, who loved playing practical jokes. People splash colored water and powder on each other to celebrate the start of spring and the joy of life.
Hinduism is one name covering many different beliefs among many different people. but we've been able to focus on what those different people have in common. It's worth taking the same approach when it comes to looking at all the world's different religions and its different people.
When we work together and try to understand our differences, we often find out about what we have in common.